This is attempt number 2 at this video. My voice is flipping hurting, but I just tried to record it about an hour ago, and yeah, my mic decided not to record anything, so that's been fun for my voice. So anyway, this video is going to be about the Chaos releases that we got shown off at Adepticon. I know this was meant to be a big, massive year for Chaos, and so far it's been somewhat of a disappointment. Like, I know we got the Emperor's Children and we got sort of the Skaven release, which are now a Chaos faction in Age of Sigmar last year, but I think people have been hoping for a bit more and a lot more in terms of what Chaos factions were getting. But at Adepticon we did get confirmation, although we knew it was coming anyway, but it has been confirmed that the next few codexes releasing are including the other Chaos god-specific factions, so the World Eaters, the Death Guard and the Thousand Sons. They are all getting their codexes very, very imminently. So let's dive right in and see what those codexes can be expecting when they do come out. As you can see in the roadmap that we got shown, we do have a lot to look forward to. All three of the Chaos factions are coming imminently alongside the Space Wolves, although I'm going to cover that in a different video. I'm really not sure my voice would cope going through all of the Space Wolf stuff as well, because there is a lot to cover in that. But we are going to look at the Chaos factions, and the World Eaters are up first. And alongside their codex, which is coming with 5 detachments, including one which is focused, like the Emperor's Children, around the demons that you can bring. So you can now bring some of those Khorne demons alongside your World Eaters, which sounds very cool. They did mention that one of the enhancements in that detachment allows a Lord on Juggernaut to join a unit of Blood Crushers, which, as someone who has a lot of Khorne demons and will be getting some World Eaters when the codex comes out, does make me very excited indeed. But in terms of actual new models for the World Eaters, the only new one we are getting is the Slaughterbound, who, don't get me wrong, does look very cool, and from the sounds of it, it is going to turn your 8-bound and your Exalted 8-bound into absolutely terrifying units. They say that he can revive models in his unit, so you will just be able to turn your 8-bound into a really hard-hitting and durable unit that can just keep fighting and slaughtering the enemy all game long. So that is really cool, and I do think he's going to be a really fun, unique character to add in. But I just think people were maybe hoping for a little bit more. A lot of people were hoping for a World Eaters second wave, and if not a full second wave, at least something new unit-wise, not just character-wise. I think a lot of people were hoping for, World Eaters on Juggernaut, so Marines on Juggernaut, maybe even some of the new Terminators or some updated Terminators that were Khornate specific would have been really cool. Maybe even something like a Demon Engine, a unique Khorne Demon Engine. We know from Forge World they've had the Blood Slaughterer there, which I don't think you can buy anymore, but was a Khorne specific Demon Engine, and a lot of people loved that. So seeing that in plastic would have been absolutely awesome. But it does just seem that GW have gone for a very minimalistic approach, and they are just doing this new character. And yes, I guess you could argue that in the codex you are getting new units in the form of the demon datasheets being added, but those aren't exactly new. They are just new to the World Eaters. And I also think, to counter that, there's every possibility that, like the Emperor's Children, some stuff from the World Eaters index that we know now may be going away. We know that the Emperor's Children didn't get both the Mauler Fiend and the Forge Fiend. They only got one of them. Can't remember which it was off the top of my head, but I think they only got the Mauler Fiend. They didn't get the Forge Fiend, or the other way around. So there is every possibility that stuff is going to be removed from the World Eaters, the Death Guard and the Thousand Sons, not just stuff being added. So although you are getting these new demon datasheets, the actual amount of choice in the codex might not be changing all that much. So it would have been really nice to get a brand new unit, not just a character, to add some more difference and flexibility and flavor to the army. I also think the problem with the Slaughterbound is that it is very much an 8-bound specific character. I don't know if he can join the regular Berserkers, but he certainly seems to be best placed with the 8-bound. And that again just ties into the problem with the World Eaters at the moment, in that their best kind of build is just bringing Angron and then as many 8-bound as you can possibly fit in. So having that more varied army build and army makeup isn't something that they can really do at the moment. And from the sounds of it, if this is their only new character, that may well be the way that GW are still pushing the faction. And they kind of hint at this because there is also a new box set coming for the World Eaters, the Gorestorm Slaughter Pack. And whilst it's cool, and I think it's going to be one that you're going to want to pick up if you play the World Eaters, but it is, again, very, very 8-bound focused. You get 3 units of either the 8-bound or the Exalted 8-bound, along with a few other bits, but it is very much, this could still be a faction where the only way to play it really is just to bring as many 8-bound as possible, which might be fun, don't get me wrong, 8-bound are cool, but it is very, simplistic and not the most exciting way to have an army, with it being so focused on one build. So I am a bit worried about World Eaters. I think the fact they're only getting 1 new character, and it is a character that is very tied up with those units that are already considered sort of the best picks for the faction, means that the flavor and the ability to build more interesting different armies might not be there in the codex. There is some good news for Khorne though, because it does appear that there was a mistake in the latest demon index that got updated the other week. Karanak, the goodest of boys, they did say he was not meant to be relegated to Legends, and they did apologise for that, and they said he will be coming back to rejoin the ranks of the Khorne Demons and the World Eaters, because he is being added back in when the World Eaters Codex releases. So that's really cool. All of us that were unhappy and a bit confused about his removal, we can at least be reassured now that he is returning and he will be able to join your demon army, or presumably join your World Eaters army to lead some Fleshhounds and hunt down the favoured prey of Khorne again. Also getting a release soon is the Disgusting Death Guard. We saw their new model a few weeks ago. It is the Lord of Poxes, which I do really like. I think it's a great model. I also think, I'm just going to go on a little aside here, the artwork for this codex, genuinely stunning. One of the best pieces of artwork I think I've ever seen on a GW codex, just showing Typhus off in all of his grotesque glory. It's really amazing, and it absolutely blew me away when I saw it. But yes, the Death Guard, they are getting the Lord of Poxes, which is a brand new foot infantry hero. I think my main problem with that is that the Death Guard, whilst their range is already a bit more expanded than, say, the World Eaters or the Thousand Suns, one thing they probably don't need more of is more foot heroes. And I'm not sure what I think Death Guard could get instead. Obviously getting a new model is cool. I'm not sure what else lore-wise or fluff-wise, because I don't know the Death Guard all that well, that people are sort of clamoring for. But I just think another foot hero, when they have so many, since 8th edition, they've had a almost constant stream of new foot heroes and characters. And I just think another one really doesn't add much to the army that they don't already have. They are, of course, getting the demons, and they will have their detachment with the demons. So if you want to get sort of a Great Unclean one or some Plague Bearers, that could be a good thing to get, just to add a unique army build from that perspective. But what I do like about the Death Guard release is that they are also getting a box set, which is the Poxrot Vector. And this one is actually really good, I think. It gets you a really solid collection of Plague Marines, some Terminators, a Bloat Drone, and the Plague Burst Crawler alongside the Lord of Poxes. So it is a really cool, varied set of models. And although we can't guess points really, because obviously it's a brand new codex, if we just use current points, that gets you about in the region of 600 points, which isn't too shabby. And it's actually such a good box that I've seen some people talking online about, if you are brand new to the faction and don't have any Death Guard stuff yet, if you just bought 3 of these, it would actually get you a really well-rounded, fairly strong, really fun and fluffy force that would, it would be roughly, using current points, about 1,800 points. So it would get you to nearly 2,000 points of really good, solid, usable units in the army. Just as a quick bit of comparison, the World Eater one that we mentioned, that gets you the new HQ, 2 units of Jackals, and 3 units of either 8-bound or Exalted 8-bound, as I said, which from current points is about 650 to 700 points. So the World Eater set, technically, at the moment anyway, gets you slightly more points. But I think that the Death Guard one actually gets you a better selection of models to play around with. So my overall thoughts for the Death Guard is, yes, I don't like the fact that we're getting another foot hero. I don't think that's really necessary, or they need it. I think they could have gone for something a lot more useful and fun for the Death Guard. But for new players, the box is really, really good. And if you want to, start Death Guard, it's a great way to get into them. And of course, in the codex, you are getting that demon detachment. So if you want to get some demons, that could add a bit more variety and variability to your army list. Probably the largest change in terms of what they are getting is actually the new unit for the Thousand Suns. They are not getting a new character, instead they get a brand new unit, the Sector Robots. And I have to say straight off the bat, I adore these models. They give me a real Stargate vibe with that Egyptian style helmet, and what they are essentially is just robots. They are automata that the Thousand Suns unleash to decimate their enemies. They are really cool, they look fantastic. I kind of wish they were a bit bigger. When I read about them in the lore and sort of imagined them and heard rumors about them coming, I thought they were going to be maybe a bit bigger than they are, but they're not that much bigger than regular infantry, really. I didn't think they would be, Redemptor Dreadnought size, but maybe sort of Sentinel size, and they look to me to be a little bit smaller than that. But as I said, they are essentially automata to add some support and also some character protection to the Thousand Suns, and they do seem to have some fairly nasty tricks up their sleeves. It was mentioned in the stream they can do Overwatch for free, so it gives them some terrifying output and threat against enemy movement with their heavy warp flamers or their melters, and it also looks as though they have an option for some melee with that claw. So if you want a unit that can get more up close and personal to protect your characters, then that could be an option for them. Once again, this is coming alongside the new Thousand Suns Codex, which is going to have 5 detachments, again, one being demon focused. And like the World Eaters and the Death Guard, there is a new starter box coming for this faction, or a new army box. It's not really a starter box, but a new army box for the faction. This one is called the Warp Flame Thrall Band, and quite uniquely, it actually doesn't feature any Zangors this time. Instead, what you get is 3 sorcerers, 1 on a disc, 5 Scarab Occult Terminators, 10 Rubric Marines, and then what looks to be 2 units of the Sector Robots. And then it looks like they may come in units of 2 because there is 2 separate units with 2 models in. So I'm assuming 2 units of 2 robots. Now, just the 3 sorcerers, the Terminators and the Rubric Marines, that already comes to around 700 points. So depending on how much the Sector Robots are, if they are, a couple of 100 points for a unit, that could easily get you up to nearly 1,000 points. Even if they're on the cheaper side, that's still looking at probably getting you about 900 points of Thousand Suns right out the box. So this could be an incredibly good value box for a new Thousand Suns player and get you this cool, very thematic force to start your army with. Once again, I will say it's a shame it doesn't have more to it, and for all the factions, actually, they don't have more to them. You are, of course, getting more datasheets technically by having those demon entries in your codex, but I just think it would have been nice if there were some actual new units for each of these factions. It does just feel a little bit phoned in to me, and I personally would have thought that they could have at least done maybe a new character and another unit for each of them, because they all do deserve it, and certainly the Thousand Suns and the World Eaters, they need it to flesh out their factions a bit more. I just don't see why they couldn't have done, the characters for each, but then added a small little unit for each of them just to add something different. The Thousand Suns get their robots, and then maybe they could have done with a new HQ as well. The World Eaters, they've got plenty of HQs. They didn't really need another one, so I don't mind having him, but they could have easily put in another unit to go alongside there just to flesh out their range a bit more and give you some more options instead of going fully 8 bound. I don't think it's all bad news. Certainly getting the new codexes for the 3 factions is pretty cool. They are coming very soon, so there's a lot to be excited about there. You are getting some probably fairly good value boxes to pick up to add, a load of 8 bound if you wanted, or some vehicles and such if you were a Death Guard player, or just more Rubric Marines and some cool robots to your Thousand Suns. So if you are a new player, I don't think it's a bad time or a bad way to get into the factions. And even if you're an established player already, some of those boxes may have some stuff in there that is going to be of use to you. But I do think they are probably better aimed at someone that is brand new to the faction. I just wish there was a little bit more. And I think that's going to be it for today. I don't want to go on too much. I mean, I am a little bit disappointed with these. I do think they could have put a bit more effort in and made it a bit more exciting. Certainly the World Eaters people were clamoring for a big second wave, which I didn't think was going to be coming, but I did think it would be more than just like a tiny trickle of water. So I am a bit disappointed, but I don't want to go on too much longer because my voice is already killing me. But I would love to know what you think of these three factions and what we have got with them. Are you happy with it? What were you hoping to see? And what would you like to see sort of maybe in next edition if they do get a bit more of a bigger release? I will, of course, cover the Space Wolves, Old World, and the Age of Sigmar stuff from Adepticon in some upcoming videos. I can't really do it today until my voice gets better, so apologies for my voice, but I'd love to know your thoughts on these Chaos factions and what you think else we're going to see in terms of rules and detachments and that sort of thing. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.